wonderful evening it is to be in San Fernando. What a wonderful evening it is to be amongst the most wonderful people of Trinidad and Tobago. As I stand here, I look into this audience and I'm so very proud to see so many patriots. And I look at my head table. What a wonderful job that you have done tonight. You are the envy of all political parties of this nation. And I'm particularly happy tonight, not just to see my brother and my sisters, but my lovely wife, Jay, who has decided to join us this evening. And as I reflect, as Carolyn has, on why we are here tonight, I must too also pay tribute and homage to Dr. Aloy Likwai. A true man, small physically, but a giant amongst us all. His passing has left a void for us, but he has left a message, and that void must be filled. It must be filled by the ambition of everyone listening here tonight in San Fernando and throughout Trinidad and Tobago, that we have a great nation to make, but that nation is made not just by talk, but by action. And when I was reminded of that statement, that when the going gets tough, the tough get going, I want to say, we have to change that a little bit. That when the going gets tough, the tough stand up to all of the evil things that we have to face in this nation. Much change has come in the last 5 years, and there's much more that we must bring. But to abdicate our responsibility to the future is the easy way out. But for those who love our children and love this nation, not just in words, but in actions, we know that it takes sacrifice. And that brings me now to what the character of your party is, the character of the Congress of the People. It is a character that tells you that you must work for what you wish for. You must work hard for the things that you want. You must remain committed. You must remain consistent. You must remain focused on the objectives and achievements that we must come to. Now, this is not easy. In fact, it is extremely difficult. And that is why I'm so proud to lead this institution called the Congress of the People. Because our DNA says to us that we did not come here for personal gain. We came to save a nation and to create the future that we all want. When we were born and given legs in 2007, our dreams were crushed on the nights of election, on the election night. Many believed that we would have vanished. But because of you, we stood the test of time. And in 2010, we took political power. But when we took power, we used it as a tool and not as a weapon of the politics of the old. And that is why we could stand on every platform in every corner of this nation and speak to the achievements of this government. Things that many had spoken about, but we have given reality to. When unemployment is at an all-time low, when education is at an all-time high, when the standards of society are being lifted, and when crime is being decreased. These are things that we all want and need. These are things that we have delivered upon. And we ask, what is the new vision of the Congress of the People? What is the new vision of the People's Partnership? And I will get on to that as I proceed. But I want to tell you that yesterday proved to me that the PNM under Rowley has no place in the parliament. And when they walked out of parliament, I think they did the right thing. And you must not allow them, people of Trinidad and Tobago, to return into the people's parliament.
Tell them this is our time. Hands up high. Everybody put your hands.
As I walked in tonight, A friend told me, he said, you know what happened there really? That the PNM members walked out on Rowley. And he had no choice because he was going to be lonely there, and he walked out with them. Now that is pecan. That is pecan. Not the vile language that drips from his lips. A man of pure hate and venom. And I'm not saying this because I do not like the man. The fact is, I say this because I must warn you of the nature of this man. He presents himself as the next political leader of your nation. I didn't want to say prime minister, but yes, he wishes to be the prime minister of Trinidad and Tobago. And with that anger, as we have been told, that anger builds nothing but could destroy everything. And for the things that we have already built, as the PNM past administrations have shown, whenever they come into power, the things, the good things that other administrations would have delivered on, they crush it and destroy it. Do you want them to close the hospital in San Fernando? Of course not. Do you want to close the gates of education? Do you want us to have removed from our law books procurement legislation? Do you want us to not have on our law books campaign and finance reform? And these are the things that they would do. When we won in 2010 and we came together to remove the awful property tax, the nation said, we do not want this. And they voted out the PNM on that and many other things. And as the Minister of Housing boasts rightfully that for this year, we would be able to give to deserving persons over 5,000 homes for families to finally have a secure environment that they could feel safe, that they could have an anchor, to not be at the whim and fancy of renters who charge them $3,000, $4,000 for almost uninhabitable homes. When we give these homes, I tell you, the PNM looks on. Could I have some silence down in the back there, please? Yes, forgive me. We are a disciplined party and we like to pay respect where respect is due. And we want to listen because we are here to listen. I was speaking of the homes. I want to assure you now that the PNM under Rowley looks on with almost salivating lips and tongues to return the property tax to those homes and the homes you now own. And I want to assure you that once the People's Partnership government is in power, your homes will be protected. We must protect your homes, because if it is unprotected, then it is a people and a family that is desolate, that will lose hope in the future. And these are not idle things that I speak to you of. These are realities that could dawn upon us on election night if we are not very careful. This government has been the victim of perpetual and aggressive propaganda, where it is stated that we are the most corrupt government in the history of this nation. It is agreed that this country has corruption, but this is the first and only government that has taken positive steps to eradicate corruption from our politics and from our environment.
Tell them this is our time. 360.
My friends, let me return to that no confidence motion. It has been demonized as a waste of time, a crime in the People's Parliament. It is my view and the Congress of the People's view that anyone who puts himself or herself up as a potential leader, their lives must be examined. It must be examined on the streets. It must be examined on the platforms. And it must be examined in the Parliament. These are new standards that we are setting. Your party, in partnership with our colleagues in the coalition, have decided that the time has come for secrets to be brought into the open. For where there was only darkness, light must shine. And for that only creatures of God and goodliness must rise into the space of power. and not evil men who have done evil deeds, but have been able to capture it and to hide it for so long. And that is why it is important for your government to have put into place, for the first time in the history of this nation, a question period for the Prime Minister every single month. Every single month, your Prime Minister has to stand before the Parliament under the glare of live TV and of radio and answer any question that is posed by the opposition on any area that deals with the politics and of the governance of your society. And you have seen your Prime Minister, our Prime Minister, stand manfully and take questions left, right, and center, never ducking and running as they have, never deviating from her responsibility, because we said we wanted it so, and we have made it so. But the first effort to examine the opposition leader, what do? They run and they hide. But what is worse than that for me, my friends, is that the defense that they get from members of society who we should expect much of, they are now defending that act of complete cowardice. As my father used to say, a man who fights and runs away shall live to fight another day. That there are many interpretations of, but I assure you, what we have started will not end by their leaving the Parliament. We will hold up Mr. Rowley and any other person who wishes to hold power to the light so that we could see through them and find what they are made of. It is important. Having said that, I found it most unfortunate that Ms. Toppin, our member from Tobago, as well-meaning as she may have been, may have gone a little too far in what she would have said. But to have avoided altogether what she has said is a dangerous thing. Because no matter how the message may be delivered, we must seek if there is essence of truth in it, as Carolyn has told us. This is the era where truth must be the most powerful thing, and this truth must set this nation free. If there is truth in the allegations that she has made, then it must be examined, questions must be posed, and answers given to this population. To condemn what she has said altogether is easy, but to absorb and assess what has been stated is repulsive to some, but sometimes necessary. And that is an act that we must all endure from time to time. We do not always have it the way we want, but we must make it the way we must have it. Because to do otherwise, to throw the baby out with the bathwater, is a dangerous thing. But the condemnations come, and we must accept those condemnations. Because we in the COP believe that whatever we do, we must do with dignity. We must speak truth with love and compassion. We must speak truth with understanding and sensitivity and sensibility. And that is why I am so proud of you, because you have held us to a great standard that is now disseminating into the wider population. Yesterday, I had the great honor with our chairman, Jamie Bahadur, to attend at the Hilton at the formal launch of the Code of Ethical Conduct. I think a very noble effort. A document was prepared for us all in the politics, a rule book, a guidebook for the things we must do and say and how we must conduct ourselves. We were the first to have signed on to that because we welcomed it as a necessary guide for those who do not have it within their hearts and in their conscience to know and do what is right. But I'm also equally proud to tell you that this code of ethical conduct that now everybody is speaking about, we prepared our own since the year 2008, and we have lived by it from 2007 to this date. Never will you hear on a COP platform the denigration of anyone. If we criticize, we do so respectfully. But more important than anything else, we criticize when there is an element of truth. We may ask questions. We do not have all of the answers. We may criticize when it's a matter of great public importance and we need clarity on matters. That is a function of all those who seek truth. And that is why the COP continues in the politics As Lincoln Douglas, who is not here tonight, tells us, that the COP is the next evolution of politics. He could not be more right. Because as we proceed, the winds of change are at our back, pushing us far into a new world where the old paradigm of politics will fall and the new standards must be set. When I was pilloried repeatedly, when I made a call, singularly standing in the face of power, that Jack Warner should not occupy a place in cabinet, our colleagues attacked, our enemies attacked, and many attacked. Mr. Warner has now proven himself to be exactly what we said. He is not worthy of the office. He is not worthy of holding a position in the cabinet. When our own Mary King fell short in her standards, the COP said, because of your own admissions, you must not stay, and we call for her relief as a member of the cabinet. And I could go on and on and on to the latest one, where issues were raised by our Attorney General in relation to that matter of David West. Your party stood firm and stood strong and said we needed answers. And answers were given. And the Prime Minister, I want to tell you, all of these things could not have happened unless the Prime Minister herself understood that the winds of change could not be pushed against, that we must go forward. And that new standard has been set. When we speak of a new future that we want to create, it is very obvious to me, because I did not come into the politics for myself. I am not here to speak about my sacrifices, but it's important for you to know. When many criticize us and talk about eat a food, and they say that you are there for political power and space, I want to tell them, I have no addictions whatsoever. The only addiction I may have is an addiction for the love of children. When my daughter was born, I decided to stop talking about things and get involved in things. To make the change that we all want requires participation by those who have a clear conscience and an open heart for the future. And we are setting a standard for all future leaders, that if you wish to hold political power and space, live your lives well, because when you come into the glare of public office, if you have skeletons in your closet, we shall open them. If you have worms in your innards, we shall see them. If you have ill will, we shall unearth them. And this is the truth of the new politics that Mr. Dukran had spoken about, that we now manifest as a reality in the politics of Trinidad and Tobago. It was not easy. There were many moments of great despair, of real doubt whether we should continue, whether we should endure the humiliation and the embarrassments that were put on us. But every mother in this audience and those who are listening to us know that if there is a higher purpose, that is the protection of your children and the children of all of Trinidad and Tobago. There are sacrifices that we must make and the things that we must endure, and to never lose sight of that. How many times in our personal lives we have to say, bend our heads, put your tail between your legs, because you know that if you play manos, in that moment, the entire game would be lost, and we all pay, not just now, but into the future. How many of you have had experiences like that? And that is why we bring into the politics real life experience and the wisdom of the ages. We know full well that no nation could be guided without a spiritual backing. And that is why in Galatians 6:9, Pastor, isn't it 6:9, that you are told that you must endure, you must work. I'm paraphrasing here. You must work, because at the end of it, if you do not give up, then the bounty will be given as a reward. And because of your endurance and of your work, this country is in a far better place in 2010 than it was in 2015 than it was in 2010. We have an next term that we must have, because the works we have begun must continue. There are new things that we will introduce. There are new concepts and new dynamism to the politics that we must endure. But what troubles me most in this time is, where is our sense of patriotism? Because everybody speaks about it, but how many of us live it? When Kennedy spoke to his nation and said, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. Many will repeat those words but not understand that they are not just words that we must live. And when I find that protest for industrial action takes a form where the people, the children, the mothers, the aged, the working man who, if he does not turn up to work, the working woman who does not turn up to work does not get paid, that you take industrial action to hurt the people of your land, where it is all about money. And I want to make this very, very clear. I believe every worker, everyone in the society is entitled to a fair share. They must be well compensated, but the people of this nation must never be hurt in the process. It is an abdication of your patriotism. Every calling is not a job. There are many things that we must do and endure, not for the money, not for the benefit for yourself, but for your country. And if we do not take charge and take control of these things, the society will become one that is really rooted in the root of all evil, which is money. Money has been said to be the root of all evil. But there are greater things that we must work towards. That is the service to our brothers and to our sisters. And in that effort, my friends, you have proven yourself. As my wife Jay gave me a quote, first, there will be doubters. There will be critics. There will be haters. There will be those who put scorn on you. And then there will be you who will prove all of them to be wrong. That is the nation I want. This is the seed of the COP. But we are here about politics. We are here about power. Because power, as I repeat over and over, and I want you to say this with me, power must be used as a tool. Repeat that for me. Power must be used as a tool. Power must never be used as a weapon. Power must never be used as a weapon. This government has shown that we use power as a tool. But as we proceed to regain that power in the next election, I want to warn you that the COP, and I speak for the COP as I stand here as a leader, when in 2010 we went to the elections, we fought the most difficult seats. Seats that no one expected us to have succeeded in. Roger is here, Rima, they said that was PNM forever. You took it from them. Dabadi Omera, they said nobody could win that other than PNM. We, the COP, won that. Lopino Bonaire, another dream that people had that could only belong to the PNM, we won that. In Tunapuna, we did the same, and in San Fernando West, we did equally so. But I want to say this. That the first line of defense to the People's Partnership is the Congress of the People. It's a task that we had taken very proudly and we have delivered on. It will be more difficult this time around to repeat those successes. But as our resolve has grown, as our experience has matured, and our ability enhanced, I feel very confident that we shall retake what we have and we shall take more, as Dr. Mahabir has indicated to us.
Hands up high. Everybody put your hands up high. Yeah. Oh, put your hands up high.
The reason I say these things is that I believe that there is no void in the universe. That if you leave a space, it will be filled. And we have a choice in this nation to make, whether that space shall be filled by evil and wickedness, or it shall be filled by goodness. And if you believe in goodness, then you must know that you must spread that word and spread goodness. And for all of those critics and condemners, let them know that we are about making Trinidad and Tobago a better and better place, a better space. I want to say also that there are many in society who have multiple standards, that when things happen for some of us, we are condemned. Now, when the same things happen to others, they are protected. There's a group in society that believe that they have a higher right, that they're immune from many of the things that we are subject to. And one of those persons is the candidate for San Fernando West. He moves with an air of superiority, well described by Dr. Mahabir, well coiffed, perfectly dressed. But where is his soul? Where is his record of work and social service? All we are hearing about from him are glib words for the first time going down on the train line. We hear of him in every other sphere and capacity, speaking of business and other things. Now, we in the COP, we in the People's Partnership, we have populated our ranks with persons who have proven themselves over the years to have been servants of the people. Every single one of us, before we came into the politics, had a history of social service, of people-oriented service. That is a truth that the PNM will not be able to replicate. We are about people. And that is why in this next election, because we have incumbents everywhere, and they're asking in San Fernando West, why don't you put a candidate? We have an incumbent, Carolyn Sipasad Bechan.
The time will everybody. It's everybody. The time.
But I want to tell you something. Sometimes when people are carrying on and doing things, there was an old saying that when your enemy making a mistake, never correct him. We say carry on with your campaign, because the reports I'm getting from San Fernando West is more this man walks and the more he talks is the less people who want to support him. As they say, some people dig their graves with their mouth. This is a classic example. Open, keep talking, and keep walking, Paris. When I saw him on TV tonight, the indignation he spoke with, condemning Ms. Toppin about what she had said. I didn't hear him say a word when his political leader said, I shall beat her on her face, I shall beat her on her waist, I shall beat her on her patent place. I do not know what that means. What I do know about beating on your face and on your waist. You cannot use language like that in relation to a woman. It is an incitement to violence. And the hypocrisy of all of them is startling. They do not criticize it. They start to reinterpret it and say it's Pekong. And that is why I use Pekong. About, remember when I say Rowley, everybody leave him. That is Pekong. What language he used there, and that was not the worst of it. About dog and other things. About lawyers suckling at nipple. That was a calculated, continuous effort. That entire speech was about demonizing and attacking women. But yet, this most dignified of our candidates for San Fernando West never condemned it. He remained intensely silent on these matters. But suddenly, when Alan Toppin speaks about matters that may be factual, I don't know. I really do not know. Have they asked the leader whether it is true or not? Wouldn't that be the first thing? Listen to what she said. Any truth in that? But I understand from what they said on the news that tomorrow they're coming out with something, what? Explosive about Alan Thomas. And these are the very people, when issues are raised, they say that the People's Partnership creating distraction. I ask the media, you have a sacred duty to this nation to investigate all allegations, all of them. That has been a clarion call of the Congress of the People, because we always believe that allegations are easy to be made. And as I say, reputations destroyed. And that is wrong. If allegations are made, they must be based on facts and on evidence. And for those who wish to make allegations without those things, they equally must be made to pay a price. So that in the future, when a politician and a political person in office says something, you can't believe it. As it stands now, it is almost all propaganda, except, of course, the People's Partnership and the Congress of the People. That's the truth, because we stand firm that whenever we speak on a platform or in the parliament, we speak with authority of truth. And we must eradicate that sense of falsehood and hypocrisy from the political landscape. My friends, my time is long up because we were supposed to have ended a long time ago. This party does not have the resources to pay the overtime that we are required to. So I make a call to each and everyone listening that your party needs you. We need financial resources as we need human resource. We are great in ideas and we have a lot to offer to this nation. But financial resources is a fuel that takes this machine forward. Help us to help you. The nation we want is being prepared right now. The nation that we wish to create is at hand, but only if we continue in our efforts. My dear friends, I want to tell you that this nation will soon see a day when crime is so totally repressed that it will be only a memory of the horrors that we faced. When inflation has already been reduced, where livelihoods are meaningful, where work programs are no longer necessary, where a man gets a fair day's pay for a fair day's work, where productivity rises, where the environment is protected, where our children are made safe. And having heard from our Minister Karim about the educational efforts, where every one of their potentials can be lifted and fulfilled, that every child, whatever part of this nation, could feel that they could occupy any office, be part of any profession, and to rise to greatness that they only saw on TV or on the net. This is a nation in a formative stage. We have done so much already. We cannot take our eyes off the goal. We are not about what we can take, but what we can give. As Winston Churchill told us, we make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. Keep on giving, my friends. And as I will close every meeting, it is our duty now to change the me into the we. Let Trinidad and Tobago be a we place. We belong here. We have every right to prosper here. We have every right for our children to want to live and to grow here. We have every right to make this nation a home for which we could all be proud. Because 50 years and 100 years from today, when history is written and they look back at the time when Trinidad and Tobago made a quantum leap in the way we do things, it is this period that we occupy the political power, the political corridors, and that opportunity to make these changes. Where constitutional reform has come, procurement legislation is here, campaign and finance reform is a reality, where the people are finally looked after, where the resources of the nation was used to protect us and to look after us, where our health care was enhanced to such a level, where our education was improved. And I could go on all night, but they've taken off my timer 5 minutes ago. So my friends, I look forward to seeing many, many more of you working hand in hand. And remember that each and every one of you is an ambassador to the future. We must win the election, and it is won between the hours of 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. on election night. Go forward from today. Call every friend, every relative, every foe, and tell them that you need them to come and save Trinidad and Tobago from the possible destruction if the PNM should ever take power. It is not just wishful thinking. It's about action that we make this thing real. Election night, when the votes are counted, we must be on the winning side. The day after election, we must not arise to a nightmare. We must arise to a new dawn, to a dream for Trinidad and Tobago that we all share. God bless each and every one of you. God bless Trinidad and Tobago. God bless us all. Thank you.
much we can say, but thank you, leader. You inspire us, you encourage us. Continue to work as hard as you could be. Stand behind you and alongside you. Thank you, Minister Karen, we thank you for gracing us with your presence here tonight. We know that you are hard-working, and thank you for the information on everything that your ministry is doing for us. Thank you so much for your presence here. The women on our platform, Minister Asia, Ms. McMichael,